It's the Zach Sang Show. Zach Sang Show.
Hello.
Hi, what's going on, guys?
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Zach.
Ashley, nice to meet you.
Really nice to meet you.
Cool.
This is Dan.
Hey, Ashley.
Nice to meet you.
This is Jill. Hello.
Jill, I'm briefly
Hi,
nice
Sarah. I'm Zach. Nice to meet you.
Jenna, nice to meet
Zach,
you.
nice to meet you, Jenna. So, this is going to be your throne right here, my friend.
Very cool.
It is Zach Sang, the Zach Sang Show, and in the studio right now.
Is it nice having a show named after you? You get to say your own name all the time, be like, haha, this is me.
It's
I'm
gotten
on
like a
show.
little tiring after a while, you know what I mean?
I don't believe that.
I don't know, but it is the Zach Sang Show, and we are here with the beautiful Halsey.
Hi.
Hello, friend.
How are you guys, besides being really far away from home like me?
Besides that, amazing, but being away from home does get me. It really, really does.
I guess this is technically home now, though.
Weird for you to say that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah, I just got a new place. My first place I've ever owned out here. Like a couple weeks ago. I got it right before I left for my European tour.
Cool.
So I got a house, lived in it for like 2 days, and then left for like 8 weeks.
Wow.
And then came home and was like, I don't even remember what the house looks like. Like I kept having to Google like the housing site where like I got my house and like look at pictures of it and be like, oh yeah, that's what my kitchen looks like. Okay.
Google mapping it just to see the outside again.
Yeah, exactly. Be like, oh, my pool. Okay, cool.
I mean, that's a pretty crazy life move, right? Aside
Yeah.
from the fact that you were only in your house for 2 days, but the fact that you have a house that is yours.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a dream.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, especially for me because when I met Anthony, my manager,
Yeah.
I was kind of like in between living situations. So I was like couch surfing and like I didn't really have anywhere to live for like almost a year, almost like 13 months. I was like living out of a duffel bag. I had like a bag that had like my clothes and like I had like an iPod Touch. I didn't even have a phone. I was like on Wi-Fi, like emailing people like at local Starbucks.
Hashtag booty, man, but it worked.
And, so for me to have come from owing this dude like tons of money and like sleeping in his parents' basement to being able to like, you know, get my own house and be like, yo, you want to come over? Like that's pretty cool for me.
But isn't that what makes it though? That struggle, that journey?
Yeah, I think so. I think everybody comes from some sort of struggle. Even people that maybe come from wealthy families or people that come from like they already had an in the industry of some kind. Like it doesn't matter where you come from or like what your struggle was. Like if you're a musician and you're making music, like there's something in there that's provoking you or you wouldn't feel the need to, you know what I mean? To exercise that in music. So there's got to be something, you know?
Something's pushing you. Something's fueling it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I've obviously listened to Badlands and amazing, dude. Come on.
Thank you.
Like,
Thank you.
Can we walk through real quick your process of writing a song? Like, how does it come to you? Does it come after you experience something? And after you experience something, where does it go? Is it a voice memo? Is it in your notes? Are you writing it down on a piece of paper? What is the process like?
I have like a really hard time writing about stuff that just happened because I think I really need time to like reflect and digest stuff. So like most of the songs I write about are stuff that's happened to me like a year or two ago. I'm getting better at kind of like digesting things that have just happened to me and putting them into song. But I write really quickly. Like, it usually takes me like 20 to 90 minutes to write a song. Some songs on the album, like on the deluxe edition album, like a song like Drive, like a song like Hurricane, like I wrote in like 20 minutes. But then, you know, there's some songs that took a little bit longer, like a song like Haunting took a long time, or like a song like Control was like somewhere in the middle. And it's usually like a collaborative process. I write all my own lyrics, but, you know, I'll sit with a producer who I'll say like, I use like really strange words to describe music. Like I'll be like, make this song sound drippy, or like make this song sound sparkly, or like make this song sound shimmery but not sparkly, like not glitter, like with edges, but like shimmery and soft, you know.
But
so
I can also hear it in my head a little bit as you're saying it.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? I
yeah.
can hear those different sounds.
No, definitely, and it's like it's cool to add like that visual element. I think like make that song drip, make that song sparkle, make that song, you know, wet. You know what I mean? So like to add like a visual element, it makes it a lot easier for me. I reference a lot of movies too, like a song like Roman Holiday. Yeah, that song not only was like lyrically motivated by the movie Roman Holiday, but was also sonically motivated by The Breakfast Club. So like I called the producers who were building this like soundscape with me, and I was like, I need you to make this song sound like The Breakfast Club, which was my way of saying like, give me something nostalgic. Give me something that sounds like you've heard it before, that reminds you of like, you know, a greater time. And I'm so lucky to work with some of the cool people I work with because these two guys, Captain Cuts, they were like, you got it, like no problem. Well, Breakfast Club, easy. Like, yeah.
They understand the lingo. And as
Yeah.
you're saying it, and I listened to the album again this morning, and dude, I'm seeing visuals now that I haven't really pictured before, and I'm excited to go back and listen to it.
Yeah, thank you.
Because your music really does do that, and it's made me think of the visual aspect to it. And obviously this is art, right?
Yeah.
And it's so personal, and like I can feel it in the lyrics. And there, like Roman Holiday, I went and I read the lyrics after I listened to it, and I really wanted to dive into it. And saying that it was based on a movie kind of changed my perception of the song. I mean, how much of that song is based in reality for you, and how much is?
Well, the whole song is autobiographical for me. But the only phrase that was borrowed from the movie is Roman Holiday, which is the Audrey Hepburn film. And so for me, landing on the expression Roman Holiday was that I had written the entire song and I was missing one rhyming part. So I had the but for now let's get away. Oh, dun, 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 dun. I was like, what the hell am I going to put here? I have no idea what goes here. And so I'm like, just like combing through like thesauruses. Like, I'm like, what the fuck am I going to put here? And so the song is kind of about like escaping from the problems of your real life and like not looking back on them and kind of like finding solace somewhere else. And it was really interesting for me to come upon the film Roman Holiday, which is about Audrey Hepburn's character as a princess, and she escapes from her duties to go like kind of live her life and live spontaneously, and she has like all these journalists and cameras, and like she can't trust anyone, and like I had just kind of like entered the music industry.
There.
Yeah, it was really
Major.
it was like a Prince and the Pauper kind of like thing for me, and the phrase just fit perfectly into the concept of the song, and it resonated so much with my life as well, and I was like, this is like serendipity, like this needs to be the song. And so it's cool too to also reference an already existing concept and kind of turn it into, make it something of your own, because like Roman Holiday might mean something different to my fans' generation now because of that song than what it meant to like my parents' generation when that movie came out.
Exactly. It takes on a whole new meaning. When you look at your life now and you look back at that period when you were 17 years old, going back and forth from New Jersey to Brooklyn, what do you think what was the greatest lesson that you learned back then?
I mean, I learned a couple of things. I learned that nothing is permanent. That's one of the big things that has, like, I think really affected me as an adult, is that nothing is permanent. People aren't permanent. I like lost a lot of people to like drug abuse or, to incarceration, like when I was a teenager, and like, I think I learned like nothing is permanent, and like that's something that has really motivated me in this point of my career, because it's like I need to remember that just because I have a fan base now doesn't mean I always will. Just because I play certain size concerts now doesn't mean I always will. Just because I sell so many albums now doesn't mean I always will. Like, nothing is permanent. And I think the second thing that I talk about a lot is that there's no such thing as math in the music industry, because when I was 17 I knew a lot of people who were super talented, and like there's that like constant contradiction of like, this person's super talented, how come they never made it? And then like, this person's not super talented but they're very famous. So like, you know what I mean? It's like, where's the math? Like, there is none.
There's no rhyme or rhythm to any of it, really.
Exactly. I think that at this point in my career, which is not very long, I've been doing this for like a year and a half, but at this point in my career, the one thing that's really, really important to me, like at the end of the day, is like, is making sure that like I'm dedicating as much of my time and energy into being like a good person and taking care of my fans and like listening to what they have to say, making them feel wanted, making them feel important. Like, even if I'm tired and anxious and sick or sad or like whatever it is, like I can handle like that 10, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever it is, like if it's going to like make someone's life better, because nothing is permanent, because I won't always get the chance to be this close to them, because they might not even be permanent, you know what I mean? And that's super, super important. And I think that's one thing that keeps me like really, really, I think, happy with who I am, is like I firmly believe that. I firmly believe that the most important thing to me is trying to stay a good person and like trying to like maintain my relationship with them. And like fandom culture is changing now too. Like, being a fan means a very different thing than it meant when I was younger. Like, my favorite bands like growing up were like Taking Back Sunday, Brand New, like Panic at the Disco. Like, and so being a fan of them meant something entirely different than what it means to be an engaged fan today. Like, and it's it's a beautiful thing and it's a sad thing too, because the beautiful thing is that fans have so much more responsibility now than they ever used to because of how big and important social media is to an artist's career.
Yes.
Like if Fall Out Boy didn't sell a lot of albums, like, well, I did my best. I bought one, you know what I mean? And like today, like I think fans feel a greater responsibility if their favorite artist doesn't sell a lot of albums. They're like, well, I could have tweeted it more and I could have retweeted and I could have done more. And it's like there's so much responsibility, but that's a really nice thing too because it creates this like really dependent bond, you know, between artist and fan. But like, yeah, it is hard to maintain that relationship with them and to feel like you're giving them enough.
Exactly.
You know?
Well, you have to gauge, right? What is the right amount and what is too much?
Yeah.
How often do you just like dissect your industry and your world and your business?
Is that a trick question? I don't.
No.
All the time.
All the time. But you have to think about it like this, right? You need to.
I'm trying not to anymore, if we're gonna be honest. Like I spent the past year being like really like psychoanalytical and being like really picking apart different parts of the industry. I became like known for it. Like every interview I've ever done, like one of those pull away quotes about me has been about my like obsession with kind of dissecting the industry and dissecting the sociology behind it. And like I said, a lot of that comes from me really loving people. I'm a writer. I really love people. I love how people work. I love relationships. I love, the dyads and triads within an industry and like what makes two people function really well is like why do me and Anthony work as manager? Why do Anthony and Jason work as managers of me? Why does this fan and this fan or like me and this artist or like whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever it is. But, then it definitely starts to get really overwhelming because then you start to, let's say like I lose an award or like I don't sell out a show or like I whatever, because then I'm going to drive myself crazy being like, what was the formula? What was the break in the formula? Why didn't it happen right?
You're constantly going to be trapped in your own mind going over it. You can't.
I can't constantly be dissecting because it's like I said to you before, I dissected for the past year. And the most important thing I forgot to remind myself is the most important thing I learned, which is that there is no math. You know what I mean? I keep looking for the math, but I just told you before there is no math. But I just kept looking for it the past year. So I've just kind of accepted the fact that I'm very fortunate to be in the place that I'm in. I don't need to know why. I don't need to know why. Like I'm so fortunate. I just need to accept that I am and, keep making music. And I'm in a great position because I get to start working on a second album now. Badlands was bigger and better and more massive and crazier than any of us could have ever expected it to be. And it really overwhelmed me and really floored me. And now I get the chance to kind of go back and think how I can top that. You know what I mean?
And I'm not going to lie, little pressure there, right?
Oh, yeah,
the sophomore album, historically, there's a little stress. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, but for me, like, I think I stopped caring. I think I stopped caring so much about what people think of me. Like this year,
another important thing to do.
Yeah,
by the
definitely.
Way.
This is like an hour full of life lessons.
I love it. By the way, keep going.
But I just like I've developed a reputation as like a pretty an artist that provokes a lot of I don't want to say controversy because I don't think anything I do is truly controversial. Yeah. But like conversational. Yeah, there's a dialogue, all across the internet of people who agree or disagree with my actions or with my personality or with whatever. And I very quickly went from like nobody knowing who the heck I was to like everyone having an opinion on me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like everyone having something to say about what they liked or didn't like about me. And like way, way faster than it happens for most artists. Like that's one thing, like my friends that are like, have been doing this for a long time, like whether it's like Justin Bieber or like whoever else, like they'll be like, yo, like your online-ness, your internetness is crazy. Like your internet ability is like ridiculous. But for me, it's like I can't care anymore.
Do you think it's because you open yourself up? Because you have said that like you're afraid to take stances on social justice issues, right? Because you're afraid that like your opinion isn't. I read it was an interview.
Okay.
It could be completely wrong, right? But what I thought was contradictory because you do take stances on social justice issues. Bernie Sanders, I feel the bird, and I elect Bernie Sanders as the VP. But the quote said that you were afraid that your opinion wasn't quote unquote perfect.
Sure.
and that's why you were hesitant.
Sure.
When taking those stances. But do you think that's why people love you?
Yeah, but I think being afraid to say something doesn't mean, like I said, I don't think that's contradictory, because like for me to say I'm afraid, there's fear behind taking a social stance, but still doing it. Like being afraid doesn't mean I'm not going to do it. You know what I mean? Like that's not contradictory, because in what I was saying there is like, it is a terrifying thing to do, to stand up for your opinion. It's a terrifying thing to do, to stand up against, the majority. And like, it's a terrifying thing to do, to voice your opinion and have people tell you shut up and keep making music. And the thing is truly, I've been saying this for like 2 years, like you can't win. If I comment on politics, it's shut up and keep making music. If I don't comment, it's that I don't stand for anything. You know what I mean? So you really can't win. But am I scared to talk about issues of social justice? Yes. Is the reason for that because I know that it would be foolish for me to think that I'm right about everything. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. But does that mean I'm not going to talk about, topical issues and things that require discussion, things that matter? Yeah, no, absolutely not. Like, of course I'm going to. I have a responsibility to, because I have a platform. And, I pick and choose what I want to discuss wisely, and I pick and choose what's a responsibility of mine wisely. I'm not online like, eat your vegetables and don't do drugs. Like, if whatever, like live your life. Like, do you want to not eat vegetables? That's cool. You want to do drugs? Like, we'll get into that later. But like, if we're talking about, things like, like the candidacy.
Yeah. Bernie, you want to gush over him for a second?
Please.
I watch him and Jane and I cry sometimes because they're so genuine. It's stupid. It like I can't even anymore.
I just think he's a very obvious choice.
Yeah.
I'm really sad to see.
It's hard, right?
To see the overwhelming support for him online not translated into real life, I think is very frustrating. But for me, if I have like 1 second to say anything to anyone listening, like who's a teenager or who's a young adult or who's a 50-year-old person or an 80-year-old, whatever, if you can vote, okay? Like, if you can vote, like, there's like two things that I think I would like to say. And the first is that, like, Bernie Sanders is a patriot. And the true definition of a patriot is someone who's not afraid to challenge their government and fight for the greater good of their community, I think it's ironic that, people who support like a candidate like Donald Trump would say like that they're being patriotic rather, when like really being patriotic would be supporting someone like Bernie Sanders who's not afraid to challenge their own government and challenge their, to challenge authority and for the greater good of their community. And the second thing is just go vote. Like, you'll drive an hour to sit outside of a GameStop to wait for Call of Duty to come out. You'll drive 2 hours to go to a concert. You'll drive 3 hours to get the new freaking Kylie lip kit that's gonna sell out. Go drive 15 minutes and vote. Like, you'll take the time out of your day to go do these things, whether it's for makeup or video games or a concert or a movie or like whatever it is. But you won't take 15 minutes to go change your future? Like, get in the car, go! Sorry.
No. Dude, that was...
No, I'm just saying. My parents always taught me that it was never polite to talk about money, so I say this apprehensively, but like, when I first started like getting into the music industry and like started selling records and selling tickets and doing whatever, like, and I became an adult and started like looking at income and looking at whatever and like realizing that there was like musicians out there or like managers or people in the music industry, like people that I knew who were making in like a day what my mom makes in a year. And thinking about my mom like getting up and like working the night shift, going to the hospital, like working really, really hard and like giving me like everything, that I had growing up, and like thinking about like this guy like signed a piece of paper and made my mom's like yearly wage in a day. And it's crazy. It's crazy. That's what's funny. That kind of goes back to Bernie Sanders for me too, because it's like, a lot of people told me, I was part of the Occupy movement in New York. Like, I would go into the city and protest, which is really funny.
Were you
now.
Union Square or Wall Street? Where'd you go?
Union Square.
Cool.
So like but it's ironic now. My dad brought this up to me the other day. I came home and I was talking about Bernie Sanders, talking about the 1%. And my dad was like, how funny is it that like you're part of a community now that is the very community you were protesting? Like when you were a teenager, you know what I mean? Like people who are in like a higher income tax bracket, and like the one thing people always said to me when I was younger, like I'd read in interviews or read in Time or read in like whatever, is like a lot of like rich old white dudes being like, well, you'll understand why we don't want to advocate for higher taxes if you ever start making a lot of money. Okay. I don't think there's any amount of money that I could ever make.
Yeah.
That would make me think it's okay to deprive people of human rights.
Hallelujah.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter if I'm 21, doesn't matter if I'm 50, it doesn't matter like how old I am, how much money I'm making, whatever. Like, and like I said, a lot of that comes down to like seeing my mother like working so hard and like realizing all of this, and it's just crazy to me. I'm sorry. But yeah, my parents live in New Jersey, so. I came home like one day and there was like packing a suitcase. And I had seen them a couple times. Like, I think my mom knew that I went to record a song, which was Ghost, my first single. And my dad had like talked to Anthony on the phone. And I was like, I came home and was like packing a suitcase one day during all this like kind of shenanigans or whatever. And I was like, I'm going to California. My mom was like, you're what? I'm like, I'm going to California. And she's like, what are you talking about? I was like, I'm going to get a record deal. She's like, okay. Because she thinks some guy like came up to me at the mall and was like, you're going to be a star,
Wanna
kid.
be a model?
Like, yeah.
Sign this paper.
Exactly. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to get a record deal. And they're like, okay. And so I think for the first like 6 months, they were kind of like super apprehensive about everything. But I think it wasn't until like I did the American Youth Tour and was playing like to like sold out crowds, even if they were small, they were like 400, 500 capacity rooms. But for my parents to go see like within 5 months of me signing my record deal, me playing like a room full of like 600 screaming kids who knew every word to all my songs that weren't even out yet, they were like, oh, okay.
They got it.
We get it now. But now they're so funny because it's the like sweetest and like most humbling part of it, I think, for me, is that they really want to. I've seen like a change in their character. Yeah. Like they've worked really hard their entire lives. They've always done like whatever job like would make them, you know, able to pay their rent. And like they're really young. My parents are really young. They're like 42. And I see them like being like, you know what, like maybe I don't want to work this job. Like maybe I want to do something else. Like I think what they saw in me was like they can still like follow their dream.
They're finding their passion.
Yeah, which is really, really nice because like I think that for people who lived a really mundane life, which was go to college, have a baby, work whatever job it was, that, you know, for me to show them like
you can break them all.
This happens in real life, like stuff like what's happening to me, like it can actually happen. Like it's making them definitely like more eager to pursue maybe not their dreams necessarily, but something that makes them happy, you know?
That's really nice. Special.
Yeah.
Really, really special. Wow. Okay. In my opinion, there are two songs that changed your life forever. Mm-hmm. Tell me if I'm wrong or right.
Sure.
I would say Ghost, right?
Yeah.
And then I would say New Americana.
Yeah, I agree.
In two different ways, right?
Yeah.
Ghost got you offers, and it really changed everything. It changed your path, changed your course. New Americana broke boundaries. It broke down walls. It connected across radio and online in ways that people don't really see. At what point after all of that do you realize that your life is never going to be the same?
Honestly, I think for me, like I have I still have, like I said, overwhelming fear, like that fear that nothing is permanent. So like I don't think I'm gonna. I hope I get to do this forever, but I'm not expecting it, you know, or I'm not taking it for granted. But I think
Americana will live forever. Can I just tell you?
I hope so. I think the real moment for me was we started getting like messages from kids in New York who were like, I've tried to get tickets to see you like 3 times and they sell out every single time. Play bigger rooms, play bigger rooms, play bigger rooms, play bigger rooms. And Anthony and and Jason and I talked about it, and we were like, they want bigger rooms. Like, let's play Madison Square Garden. And like that's everyone we knew laughed at us. Wow. Everyone we knew laughed at us. It was like, what are you talking about? The last show that I had played in New York was like 1,200 people. Maybe. I don't even know. I'm looking at him like it was probably like less than that.
1,200.
So, you know, to go from 1,200 to over 12,000, you know what I mean?
Unreal.
It's like that was the scariest thing I've ever done. And that was a real like validating moment for me because I pride myself on being an artist that like wants to take risks. Yeah. And everything that I'd been doing was playing it pretty safe. Like our tours were selling out. Like to this day, I've never played a headline show in any country in the world that didn't sell out initially. And so I I'm proud of that. I'm really proud of that. And I sound like I'm bragging, but I'm really proud of that. You know what I mean? Like, that's a cool thing.
You should be.
And that's the coolest thing about that to me is that that's not marketing dollars.
Nothing.
That's my fans and me, and just like that's the most pure like example of like my fan base that there is that our shows, our live experience, you know, is what it's all about. And so for us, like playing a show at Madison Square Garden, let alone like selling it out, you know, in advance was like,
that's amazing.
That was a moment we all looked at each other and we were like, because like the album did well, but I was like, oh, it could have been a fluke. Like, you know, oh, this could have done this, like whatever. And then Madison Square Garden was the moment where it's like, tickets are people. You know what I mean? Like, tickets are people.
Straight up
that
people.
means that like over 10, 50, whatever, 1,000 people.
15,000, I think.
Yeah, people wanted like real life people, like
humans.
They care about me. That's crazy. Like, oh my gosh. Like, that's not Twitter numbers. That's not retweets. That is like humans with a job and like they eat dinner and like have a birthday and they're coming to see Halsey. Like, that's crazy to me. Crazy. Sorry. I think Badlands is a pretty diverse record.
Yeah.
There's songs on it that are a little bit more urban leaning, songs on it that are a little bit more experimental, songs on it that are just traditional pop songs, like the one that we have at radio right now, Colors. It's one of my favorite songs on the record because it's just it's a pop song. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a pop song, and it's like, but it's got like a deeper lyric. You know, it's very special to me because it's a very honest song. It was one of the scariest songs I ever wrote because not only is it a very honest song, but it's honest about someone else's life, and like that's the point as a writer where you need to be like, do I have the liberty to say this? Am I allowed to say this? Am I allowed to talk about someone else's life in this way? I'm being honest and I'm being mean. I'm being unhindered, but...
Do you ask permission?
I played the song for the person that it's about. It's kind of about two people, actually, but the person that I thought mainly would have their life affected by the song being out, I played it for, and he really liked it, and... that was like a pretty gratifying moment for me because I was like, okay, good, you're not going to sue me. But also, like, we're still going to be friends. I think 2016 and 2015 is an interesting time for music because I think it's scary for people. I think right now it feels like there's not a lot of new things left to try, and I think that's really intimidating for artists. But at the same time, I think, like you said, I think music is finally kind of making the come around to what popular music was originally intended to mean, which is popular music. You know, pop kind of it developed into a genre. Like pop music wasn't just like, this is music that's well liked. It was pop music is these drums. Pop music is, you know, this format, this chord, like quite literally a chord progression. You know what I mean? That was being used by people over and over again, saying this is how you get an earworm hit. You know what I mean? This is how you make people like a song. And so, like, if you look at artists like in the past year, like artists like The Weeknd or 21 Pilots, like a song like The Hills, that song being number one, like that right there. That is a perfect example of there is no math in music. You know what I mean? Like, is that a song like Stressed Out being number one in the country, 21 Pilots, like again, another example of there is no math. If a song is good and it connects with people, it connects, and that's just what it is. Like, it isn't about how you look. It isn't about if you have the right freaking ad campaign, if you have the right this, if you have the right producers. Like, I know so many new artists that have been signed by like massive producers, massive major labels, and their projects never take off. It doesn't matter, like, you know, if you don't connect with the public, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're
genuine and transparency is key to this game.
Absolutely.
Do you remember the first song you ever wrote?
I do, actually. The first song I ever did in a studio was Ghost, which is pretty crazy.
That's just amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it was cool for me because
awesome.
like whenever I hear that song, I always laugh listening to the vocal on it because it was the first time I ever heard my voice in like a microphone. Yeah. Like, I had like headphones on and I was like singing into a microphone. It was the first time I ever heard my voice like in like a vocal engineering type setting. It also wasn't a studio. It was my friend Dylan's basement. His mom was making lasagna upstairs. Like, it was like super New Jersey. And so
that really is as Jersey as you get.
Yeah. But I've been writing songs for years because I've always been writing. Like, I've always been a writer. I've always been a reader.
Do you do stories? Do you write poems? Like, what
I do a lot of prose, like stream of consciousness. Like, every now and then I'll wake Anthony up at like 3:00 in the morning and send him like just a string of like run-on sentences that don't really mean anything and have like a bunch of metaphors in them, and then like we'll go back 2 months later and pull like a lyric out of it and it'll become a song. Like, You know what I mean? Like I write start to finish like what I'm thinking in a moment.
Yeah.
I write in the back of Ubers a lot.
Okay.
I write on airplanes a lot. The thing about being a musician is I'm always in transit. I'm on a tour bus, I'm on an airplane, I'm in an Uber, I'm in a car, I'm in a boat, train, helicopter, I don't know. A boat train, yeah.
They exist.
They go over the water. It's crazy.
That's sick.
That sounds like some Hunger Games.
Yeah. I think that's in the Hunger Games.
Probably.
Okay, so you're writing in transit. What the first song? Do you remember like a lyric from it? Do you remember the name of the song? How old were you?
I was probably like 14 or 15.
Didn't you write songs about Harry Styles and Taylor Swift's relationship?
I just wrote songs about pop culture.
Yeah.
Like, I just wrote about pop culture. Like, I wrote songs about Leonardo DiCaprio not winning Oscars. Like, I wanted to be, like, I think that I would have been really good at being on SNL. Like, I think I would have been, like, a really good, like, Andy Samberg type. Like, because I'm really sarcastic and I'm pretty up to date in, like, pop culture. And, like I said, I love people. And I think pop culture is so interesting. So, like, I think I would have been, like, a really good, like, the first female member of like the Lonely Island. Like if Andy Samberg is looking for like to do like a cool collab with like a new pop artist, like my hand is raised. Like I'd be so down. Like the day I get to do SNL, I'm gonna be like, cool guys, so I have this idea. They're gonna be like, we don't want your idea. We have writers. Like go away.
First song you ever wrote?
Let me see. I think it was called. Let me see. Wait, hold on. I'm trying to remember it actually. I think it was a song called Borrowing that I like later did like oh sorry
it's okay.
I did like a awful like basement recording of later on, but it's a song from the perspective of an antagonist rather than a protagonist.
Okay.
And it was a song from the perspective of a woman who's quote unquote borrowing a married man. And she's singing about like, I don't know when I was writing about this when I was like 15. But it's a really like really sad like apologetic song. She's like apologizing, saying like she needs someone more than anything right now. And I hope you'll understand that I'm like borrowing your like this person who's perfect to you. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, so I was really intense. I was an intense kid. I don't know. I must have saw a movie or something.
When's the new album? Do we have a date yet? Any idea? You have a tour coming up? Mm-hmm. You were working on staging for that?
Yeah.
How's that been?
Gosh, it's crazy. The summer tour and Coachella and everything is just going to be massive. Like, this is very honest.
Go.
When I saw the like stage plotting and like all the graphics and everything, I literally looked at Anthony and was like, "This is crazy." I was like, "Can we afford this?" Can we afford this? And he was like, yeah, this is gonna be sick. Like this is a no-brainer. This is no problem. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. I couldn't even wrap my head around it. And the reason for that is I couldn't wrap my head around the fact that I get to be that kind of musician, that I get to put on a show like that. Like, that's something that I'm thankful for. That's not something that I, like, expect or think I deserve. Like, I feel so fortunate that I have the means to execute my art in that way. You know what I mean? That, like, someone is saying to me, we're going to help you build this experience, this story, this world, so that your fans walk away. Like, I'm really, really particular. Like, first of all, I'm like a total control freak, to the point of a flaw, honestly, because I work all day long doing stuff that I should probably leave to other people to take care of for me. Like, I just need to be involved in everything. But like, everyone on my crew and like all my friends make fun of me because if I have a show that's like an 8 out of 10, I'll walk off stage and be like, that was the worst show ever. I did so bad. Oh my God. I was like freaking out. Like, if I don't give everyone 135% every night, like, it's not a good enough show for me. Yeah. And I think that's what sucks because I'm so used to giving everyone 135%. That if I give them 85, most people would be like, 85 is pretty good. I'm like, no, because it's not 85 out of 100. It's 85 out of like 135. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's not good enough for me. So for this tour, I just want to be the biggest thing. Also, it's the end of the Badlands cycle. Like, I need to give everyone who didn't get the chance to visit the Badlands and like have that experience, I need to give them the biggest, greatest, best, most massive, you know, journey that I possibly can. The second record, you know, I've been like talking to a lot of my other musician friends. I've been talking to like a lot of producers. I have like a really very specific vision for it kind of already laid out.
Cool.
I've been writing like a lot of poetry and stuff. Like it'll be, Badlands came with all this like really interactive like follow up, like where we were sending kids like anonymous postcards in the mail and like inviting people to like travel agencies. You got boarding cards. You want a scavenger hunt. You showed up with like there's crazy stuff.
Awesome release.
It was so much fun for me because at the end of the day I got to market, and I'm using air quotes here, but market a city.
Yeah.
It wasn't just an album, it was a city. You know what I mean? There's so many interactive things we could do.
And you got to connect too,
yeah,
right? In
absolutely.
a new way.
But then I get to take that, I want to take that to the next level with the next record. I want to do something that's like really personally interactive. And I think the more I learned about my fan base, the better I'm going to get at doing that. So, this album will come out when it's perfect. But I think after the summer tour, I think who knows what'll happen. Maybe I'll have a record done and I'll want to put it out right away, or maybe I'll need a break from the world and the world will need a break from me. This is just what I do, and it truly is all I do. I don't really have a lot of friends.
I was gonna ask, who's around you through this period besides Anthony and your other manager?
I'm put me on the spot here. I need to make up a bunch of names now of my pretend friends.
I got Melissa, we braid each other hair.
Yeah, it was, I got Charlie and Kevin and, no, I'm just kidding. My team is really close to me, and my best friend Jenna, she comes on tour with me, and, my tour manager Shepard, he's like one of the closest people in my entire life. Anthony, Jason are like, really close to me. Anthony takes me like the doctor's office and like holds my hand when I get blood drawn, which is like not his job. It's like not a manager's job for the record. But he'll do it anyway. And like, there's Lido. Lido produced the album. And we were living together for the past like 2 years.
You get
just
to
like
know
making
people.
music and doing whatever. Yeah, absolutely.
You have a nice base.
Music is a crazy thing. I don't really like. I'm like friendly with a lot of musicians, but like I'm really shy, and I think a lot of people think I think people maybe think I'm standoffish because of it. But I'm just like really, really shy and like really intimidated by everyone. Like I've never really fit into that I'm not trying to be like, this isn't supposed to sound like I'm not like other girls, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's totally not what it is at all. I've just been like really busy. I've been on, putting all my time and energy into touring. Like I haven't been home in like 13 months. You know what I mean? Like I've been on tour for a long time. But I haven't really settled into that like squad goals, like LA, like group of like yeah. But like the friends that I do have, like Skrillex is like a good friend of mine. He's one of the greatest people I know. He's so full of energy and just is so organically just in love with music. And to meet someone so successful with such a big team and so many people like working for him and with him, and to know that he is still so like just in love with music, like full of melodies, always singing, always wants to write, always wants to do stuff. Like I love that so much. It's so inspiring to me. Like we just did Lollapalooza in South America. So me, Diplo, Skrillex. There's so many people there. The guys from Walk the Moon were there. Miguel was there. It was like artist summer camp. It was like sleepaway camp for musicians.
See, that's really cool.
It was awesome.
I mean? Like you feed off each other. I mean, you could, even by interacting and just being social, you can learn little things from each other. I mean, that's a cool relationship. Like,
it was amazing. We went out into like, they're called the favelas, and it's like like a lower, like the kind of like the projects almost, like in Brazil, and it's where like the best music comes from. It's like where like all these like organic musicians are like playing like ballet funk music in the club, and like music that starts in the streets in Brazil and then makes its way to clubs, and starts to affect dance hall and starts to affect like other electronic music. And like a decision a 16-year-old boy makes on his laptop in Brazil can be the reason why Sorry by Justin Bieber exists. You know what I mean? Like something like that. Like that music ends up having such a massive influence on music in the States. And
do they ever know?
Sometimes they do. And the coolest thing for me is that like me and Skrillex and like Diplo and all of us, like we go in and like we engage.
Yeah.
Like we go and we party with those kids in the streets. We're like, no one no one cares who we are. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like no one's over there like, oh, Halsey's in the club, but they're just like, oh, there's a girl here. You know what I mean? We're all just like dancing. Like they don't care who we are. Like it's about music. It's organic. Like we're out till 4:00 in the morning. Like and those guys, those 16-year-old guys and the snapbacks, like they're the superstars. Like everyone in the club knows who they are because like they're massive within their community, and that's such a crazy thing for us to be able to go back and like take part in the culture that we're, for lack of a better word, being influenced by. You know what I mean? And like that was such an amazing thing, and that's one of those things where like I came home from Brazil and I was just like, oh, I love music so much. Oh my gosh, like I love music. It was like nice to feel that, after being like, it starts to get mundane. It starts to get repetitive.
Well, that's exactly. You need those moments, right? It makes it worth it. It's okay. Makes it worth it. Keeps it fresh in your mind. Reminds you why you do it, and reminds you why you love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to see it happen for a bunch of people, like I said, who do it for no other reason than to be like, than for their friends to like it. They make music for their friends to dance to in the club.
What great motivation.
Like, that's amazing.
I love it.
Like that kid, that 16-year-old kid in a snapback, like he doesn't care about radio. No. He doesn't care about impressions, and he doesn't care about like having the right specs for the size of his album artwork. Like he doesn't care about any of that. Like he wants his friends to like his music, and like isn't that the reason we all make music in the beginning? Like, the whole reason we all start making music is just so our friends kind of dig it. You know what I mean? And like that's like a cool thing.
That's the only reason why guys pick up guitars, right? They want to be socially cooler.
That's so true.
Come on.
In a weird way.
Because
I played violin growing up, and violin became not cool when I was a teenager. I was like, I'm gonna play guitar instead.
I actually dropped the violin to do the viola. So like, how cool is that, right?
My parents are gonna kill me for this, but my parents were super poor when I was little, and I wanted to play violin, and so my parents found a really cheap viola, and my teacher taught me violin on viola. So I was playing to a treble clef on a bass clef instrument. Like my fingers were in all the wrong spots. Like training me to play an imaginary instrument, like violin, viola, was like not a thing.
They created it.
Yeah, so I don't remember his name, but like shout out that music teacher like for thinking that was okay. And shout out my parents and also Santa for getting me a viola when I wanted a violin.
Halsey, you're a beautiful human being, and this conversation was just, it was phenomenal. I learned a lot about you. I learned a lot about life, and I thank you for it.
Thank you for having me.
I really do.
This is a good way to start the day.
Dude, this was I'm ready now, and I feel like this was. I've learned a lot, and I look forward to going back and even rewatching it a few times because the way you look at life and the way you attack the industry, and just it's admirable, man. And knowing that you came from Jers, and whatever we can do to keep it going, man, please, we're here. Seriously, I know. I just like jerked you off a little bit. My bad.
Listen, if that's what's gonna happen every time I come in here, then I'm gonna come and see you guys like a whole lot more.
Mi casa es su casa.
But thank you for having me. I hope you guys come out and check out the LA shows. I hope I see maybe some of you at Coachella. We're gonna be putting on the biggest, most massive, crazy show, and we might even bring out some friends. So, and I wasn't supposed to say that, and I just got a mean look from my manager, but who I could have been kidding. Friends could be Greg and Nate, like whatever, like. I don't know. It's gonna be very big with lots of surprises and secrets, and I'm really sorry, manager. I'm sorry.
He's upset, but you know what? We are doing something cool. You're not here just to chill with us. Obviously you are going on tour. It's going to be effing massive. I was looking at all the dates. You're hitting a lot of our markets. You're going everywhere from like Kansas City all the way to New York. It's going to be huge. And also, we're premiering the Colors remix of Audience remix of Colors.
Oh yeah.
I mean, come on.
It's gonna be massive. Audience on my record label, Astroworks, and we have the same A&R. Audience, if you're listening, Jeremy likes me better than you. No, I'm just kidding. That was a joke. But he's like massively talented, and having your song remixed is such like is like an honor, because someone finds something inspiring in your song that they kind of want to like transform into something new, or it means they just hate it and they want to fix it, which is like, that's cool too.
Well, that's what I was thinking, right? It could either be like an insult or a compliment. In this case, obviously a compliment. Halsey, we have covered it all. Do we have any more questions here from Jill and Dan? Anything?
No, that was a lot.
Dude, we have covered it all, but there's so much more ahead. So I thank you for hanging out with us. It really means a lot.
Thank you.
And mi casa es su casa, dude. Whatever we can do here to keep it going, consider it done.
I will be back soon, hopefully.
Peace and love, man.
Awesome.
It's like it's a combination of fate and like. Oh, it's unreal.
Great, thank you. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Awesome.